This week marks the start of something really big for Australian tequila lovers, the birth of our very own agave spirit right here in the Whitsundays. There's one thing that Blue Weber agave absolutely love is sunshine, and there's no better place than here than northern Queensland here in Bowen. Not too far from the Whitsundays, as you can probably see a mountain behind me, which is obviously the idyllic Great Barrier Reef and the islands themselves. Quite different to Mexico, but a lot of similarities as well. There's 20 degrees north of the equator is Jalisco, Mexico, where tequila comes from, and 20 degrees south of the equator is exactly where we're standing. So ideal conditions in terms of rainfall, an abundance of sunshine and heat, which it absolutely loves. Similar sort of humidity as well. Very different though, flanked by gum trees and wallabies is a very different, biggest difference to Mexico.
Our dedicated agave distillery is designed from the ground up to capture all of the flavour of Australian grown agave. So we got 4 amazing copper stills behind us at the distillery, and part of that is for maximum flexibility, because we know that different harvests, different agave plants are going to give us different flavours, and we want to be able to capture that all and get it all into the bottle. It also means that we can do multiple special production runs, small batches, single field runs. So when we have those exceptional plants that we want to single out, we can run that as a single production right through the system. So we're totally self-sufficient here at the farm. So our water, we have to reuse everything. So all of the processed water that goes through, we capture all of that water, and then that goes back into our irrigation dam, and that goes back onto the field. All of the agave fibre, after we've pressed and got those beautiful sweet sugars, all of that fibre goes back on the farm, back on the field. We also generate all of our own power. So we are 100% renewable. We burn biodiesel to create electricity and to create steam. And that means that when you've got to create every single drop of power yourself, you want to minimise it at every stage. So our design from the ground up has always been about reducing our energy use, reducing our footprint. So you might see on these stills that each of these stills actually has a double condenser. So the first condenser runs on cooling water that requires no refrigeration, and that does the big heavy lifting in reducing the heat of our spirit. And then we have a second, much smaller condenser, which we call our subcoolers, and they run on refrigerated water, but they're only doing a tiny, tiny amount of the work, and that means that our energy consumption is way less. So our design philosophy when putting all of this together had 2 really simple themes. Number 1, we need to make absolutely exceptional spirit. Number 2, we have to do it as sustainably as possible. And that's not just because, being sustainable is the right thing to do. It's because we're on a farm, we're totally self-sufficient. Every piece of energy we have to use, we have to make ourselves. So the more efficient we are, the more sustainable, the better it is, the cheaper it is, the easier it is to run. So our whole design philosophy from every decision we make has always been about great spirit and 100% sustainable.